Let's take a look at some charts from the article on BAT from last week's article for Brave New Coin. So Brave has no affiliation with Brave New Coin, but Brave is a browser that is a fork of Firefox, which includes the CEO of Brave, previously Firefox, Brandon Ike. And BAT, the cryptocurrency, is used, basic attention token, is used as an ad replacement service or a content creator to user payment facility as a method of exchange. So how this works is in the Brave browser, you can set your monthly budget or say, I want to give so much BAT to this person, this person, this person every month based on the amount of time I browse on the website or watch the YouTube vid, or you can just give them BAT directly if they're a registered publisher or content creator in the BAT ecosystem. So in general, as a content creator and a voracious content consumer, I think this is a win-win for everybody, and it's a cool project. The only issue I have with it is the number of coins in circulation is massive compared to other projects. So I doubt that the BAT token will ever be worth much of anything. I don't really think that matters. I think for the most part, as a medium of exchange, like I said, that it's just an excellent tool to send users money. Now it is an ERC20 token, and that comes with it the trappings of Ethereum. So if Ethereum has high transaction fees, that could certainly damper a BAT use case as far as micropayments. So it's kind of at the mercy of the ETH chain at the moment. But hey, none of this stuff is static. It's all ever changing. So although transaction fees are a bit high right now, I don't think that will be a problem forever on Ethereum. Looking at the publisher distribution, so you can see they've slowly onboarded more and more platforms and users. So they're up to, what did I say in the article? 620,000 users. Most of those are on YouTube. And then Twitter, Reddit, Twitch, random websites, Vimeo, GitHub, SoundCloud is listed on the Brave publisher site, but I don't see any SoundCloud people registered yet. And if we look at all the distributions, I just post this to show, I think it's super impressive, the number of users that have onboarded to this stuff. YouTube, Twitch, just like, typical S curve of adoption here. Websites, Twitter, Reddit accounts, Vimeo channels just perfectly spiked there over the past few months this year. GitHub. So all very cool stuff for BAT. For Brave, I think they've done a good job from that perspective. Whether or not they needed to use a new token for this, whether or not they needed to mint as many tokens as they did, whether or not they'll need to migrate to another chain, those are all open questions. They've said that they didn't think they could use Bitcoin in the past because of the transaction fees, but now with ETH, they have that same problem. So I don't know what they're going to do. I wish them luck. I think it's a great project. Brave is an interesting browser. This is transactions per day and average transaction values. So you can see transactions per day for BAT spike basically once a month. And this is when the publishers get paid out payouts basically. So if this pattern ever breaks, it's generally a sign of speculation because you can see if all things are equal and there's no additional speculation, you'd expect just the same spikes every month basically, right? If everyone's using BAT about the same every month or a little bit more, there are a few more publishers, that sort of thing, which there certainly have been in recent months after 2020. This may increase, but week over week, month over month, it should basically look the same unless there's massive speculation going on. This is active addresses in the fill and NVT in the line, an inverse metric of economic utility. So to see NVT basically at the lower fourth of historic levels, lower half most certainly, definitely bullish. It's rising slightly, but it's mostly flat. Okay, another thing to keep in mind is you consider, organic. Do you consider publishers being sent BAT an organic on-chain activity thing as a function of use, or is that just, payouts, right? Like that's going to affect NVT, as will these active address numbers. But to me, the active address number is actually more important than BAT transactions per day, because this shows over time how many people are like staying on board with BAT, both as a user, creator, publisher, somebody who sends BAT to other content creators, that sort of thing. So to see this continue to rise over time, there's clearly a trend here. That's definitely bullish in a vacuum. Google trends for BAT, basically near all-time lows, nothing too crazy. Again, if there's a massive speculation push or news event, then you'll see a rise in Google trends for that. Recently, there hasn't really been anything. The biggest thing recently is Brave was autofilling ref links for Binance and Coinbase and a few other places. Somebody caught them doing that, and it became a big thing online, and the CEO came out and said, sorry, and they removed that from the platform. But that was definitely interesting considering they're all about privacy and not being tracked for ads, that sort of thing. So super interesting. Looking at the technicals, 50, 200, VPVR, yearly pivots, and RSI volume. VPVR is interesting in that you really don't see any other chart like this. Most of the volume comes to this point here at 20 cents. So to me, this says historically, this is what the market has thought is a fair price for BAT. Again, based on that total circulating supply, it's just an interesting thing to consider, because if you are using BAT, do you hold on to it, or do you just sell it for USD as a content? As someone who gets sent BAT on a regular basis, what am I supposed to do with it, right? Do I hold on to it? Do I spec it? Do I pretend I want it to go up, or do I just sell it for something else, right? So I think that's going to be a perpetual problem throughout BAT's history, going forward from now and forever. For anybody receiving BAT, what do? They can't do anything else with it but hold it and hope it goes up, or sell it and buy something else, right? Or just feed it back into the ecosystem. Volume here, nothing too crazy. Yearly pivots on the upside. If it does break, what is this, 26 cents, something like that? I would expect it to go to 42 cents, something like that. The next yearly pivot. It doesn't look convincingly like it's going to do that, but this 26, 27 cent line, horizontal, definitely a big level. You could even argue for a multi-shouldered head and shoulder if we get two more equal lows here in the next 6 months, and that'd be something to watch for. So this just might stay sideways for 6 months. Wouldn't surprise me. Nothing really to talk about on RSI other than this bearish divergence, which pretty much has probably resolved at this point, as RSI is back near 50. Cloud actually looks pretty bullish. You can see, much like the EMAs here, how they've twisted back and forth. It's really been kind of meaningless. The same thing with the cloud. Been up and been down. Overall, it's just been flat, right around that 20 cent level. So there really hasn't been an extended trend period on the daily. You'd have to move this down like to the 6 to 8 hour time frame to really catch, this leg, this leg, this leg, this leg. This is a decent trade here as far as the short trade, or just cash, staying out of a long here. But then the long doesn't make sense. So it's not a great example of what the cloud is good at. The cloud is good at extended trends, or if you drop this down to like the 6 to the 8 hour, like I said, be much better at that than the daily cloud here. Looking at BAT BTC, you can see this massive consolidation period here over the past year now, with price below the 200, below the cloud. So much like Zeek BTC, you're looking at one specific level that, if it breaks to the upside, is very significant for trend metrics, because all of a sudden you're above the cloud, you're above the 200, you have a shot at some bullish momentum, right? I think 3K sats, just based on this horizontal, these highs is going to be a massive level. So if this breaks out, I'd expect it to go to 3K sats, consolidate from there, and make a decision. As far as making a higher high, you can see previously it just sort of consolidated. This is like 1 or 2 or 1.5 years of triangling out, right? And then explosion, and it just died. So now it's kind of echoing this from a triangle consolidation perspective, just in a smaller manner. So if it does break 3K, then I'd expect, 4,500 sats between this VPVR level and this pivot. To get above that, I think there'd have to be something significant to happen. Nothing on RSI, nothing on volume. And if it breaks lows, there's not really anything down here to zero. So it's not really a knife catching thing for me from that perspective. But it looks neutral to bullish as it sits. It doesn't look like it wants to reach for new lows here.